What's up, guys? My name is Royce and welcome to my channel where I talk about all things film and tech. And today I'm going to be talking about two Thunderbolt 4 hubs from Qwiizlab. And shout out for Qwiizlabs because they did send me these to check out and review, but rest assured all my thoughts and opinions and stuff are my own. And as I said, both enclosures are Thunderbolt 4, so you are going to get the 40 gigabits a second of transfer speeds. And both also are SSD enclosures. And as you can clearly see, there are some differences, so let me open them up and break them down. So this one right here is more of just an actual stand that you put the Mac Mini on top of. Have my Mac Mini M4 right here and just place it on like that. Pretty simple. And then you connect the included cable back here, the host cable, into your Thunderbolt port and you're good to go. And in the front, we have two USB-A 2.0 ports. So these are going to be for peripherals and things like that. And then on the back, we have another USB-A 2.0 port and the host port like I showed you, and then your headphone jack. So this one's definitely more minimal for if you don't have a lot of things to plug in. But the main event on this thing here is the SSD enclosure here at the bottom, which I'll show you how to install that. And what we're going to need to do is unscrew these right here, and two screwdrivers were included. Use this one here. When you peel back from here, and here we have enclosure, where then we will use this screwdriver here to release this, the lock-in point. Take that out. And then I will use my Samsung SSD right here. This is a Samsung Evo Plus. Plug that in. They also include two thermal pads. Use one, place the pad on top of the SSD like that. Cover back on and then screw it back in. And that's it. And then we just put the Mac Mini back on top like this. And there's a little cutout here too, right here at the bottom with some little padding right here. So the Mac Mini actually fits nice and snug. So you don't really have to worry about it like falling off. So it kind of fits where those vents are at the bottom, right in the middle. There we go. And then we just plug back in the host port, and then we can turn this on and just test the speed of the enclosure to make sure that it's close to what they actually say. Now I got the first Qwiizlab hub plugged in. And actually, before I get into the speed test, let me show you something real quick. Here's my Mac Mini on the hub. And you can see a green light that's on right here. So if we get close, you can see one that says 40 gigabits a second. The green light is on. Another one that's not on says 10 gigabits a second. So it lets you know if the hub is actually utilizing the faster speeds, the Thunderbolt 4 speeds, which I actually like. And we can see my SSD is being read. It's called Unreal SSD. And we're going to open up Blackmagic Disk Speed Test app. If you're not familiar with this app, this is just a really great way to test the speed of your drives, to actually see what speed you're working with, and to see from an editing standpoint, if you're working with media, what that drive actually supports and the resolutions. So I'm gonna go up here, go to settings, select target drive, go to Unreal SSD, hit open, and hit start. Okay, and we're hitting about 3,000 write and about 3,300 read. So I would say these are good speeds for my experience. This is about the average, but actually this is a little bit faster than some other Thunderbolt 4 drives and enclosures that I've tested. So on average, yes, Thunderbolt 4, you're supposed to get theoretically faster speeds than this, but from a real world use case, this is usually on par and a little bit better than what we can expect. And we look down right here, will it work? If you're working with ProRes 422 HQ, you're good all across the board, all the way to 12K DCI 60 H.265. Of course, no problem. If you work with Blackmagic RAW, you're good to go all across the board. So the next hub and enclosure, a lot beefier. This one's definitely intended more so for the content creator. We have two USB-C and a USB-A port on the front. These are all 10 gigabit a second, so these are not Thunderbolt 4. But we do have an SD card and a TF card reader, both 4.0. So you're going to get those 300 megabit a second transfer speeds from your SD card, which is nice. And we have those two light indicators at the bottom, the 40 gigabits a second and 10 gigabit a second there. And then on the back, we have two other USB-A ports, but these are 2.0 ports. So these will be for your peripherals, and then a headphone jack here on the side right there. And before we put the Mac Mini in here, let me install the SSD in this enclosure. This one's a little bit different. You don't need to unscrew anything. There's a little opening here. You just pull that back like that. And then it opens up here It's kind of cool. I think it's cool. Nerdy stuff like this. You can kind of see a little bit of the circuitry and where that SSD will go right there. I'll take my SSD. It also came with a thermal pad here. Plug that in. Screw that in, lock that in. Top part back on. There we go. Now to put the Mac Mini on this hub, it's just a little bit of an extra step versus just placing it on top. It's a little flap here you actually have to pull out like that. What you're going to do is place the Mac Mini down, vent facing outward like that. Put it in here. And then you're going to plug the host port right here. And then you're going to push this in. And then this is going to plug into that little USB-C part right there that goes into the front of your Mac Mini. Push that in, make sure that connects. Like that. I like it. It's pretty cool. I like how that lock-in part makes it pretty sturdy. So, you know, the Mac Mini can't tip over or something if you accidentally bump into it. Now, let's test the speeds. So if we see here, we can see the 10 gigabit light is on, but not the 40 gigabit light. So I wonder what's going on with that. Let's test the speeds and make sure this isn't a glitch. And if we're not getting the speeds we want, we know that something else is going on. Okay, so our SSD is plugged in. Let's open Blackmagic Disk Speed Test app again and select it and hit start. Okay, interesting. It says 2,900 to 3,000 megabytes a second write and the 3,300 megabytes a second read. So that's interesting that it would showcase the 10 gigabit a second light and not the 40. Let's look back at the hub now that this is running and let's see what it says. Yeah, interesting. The 10 gigabit light is the one that's blinking and not the 40 gigabit light, but we're getting the faster speeds. So I wonder if that's just a glitch with this hub in particular. So that's good to know. So, you know, we're getting the speeds, which is good, but it's not looking like the lights themselves on the front, the indicators can be fully trusted 100%. So this is why it's always good to double check. So yeah, those are the quick looks on both of these enclosures. Now I've actually been using them for about a few weeks or about a month, I should say, each. It takes me a little bit longer to do reviews because I really want to put into practice all the products that I get to make sure that they work the way they say they're going to work, and that if they're actually products that I would like to use and would recommend. So I could definitely say these are two really good options if you're looking for hubs for your Mac Mini M4. This one right here, this model, it's the UH60 model. It goes for $99.99. And this is a really good option for someone that doesn't need all the bells and whistles. They just need something for their peripherals. You got 3 here, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. You got that headphone jack, but you still want those faster speeds from the NVMe enclosure itself. So you get that Thunderbolt 4 and actually really nice. It's really simple. Just place your Mac Mini here. You're good to go. So this is a really nice option for someone who wants that simplicity, but the faster speeds and to be able to expand your SSD from having Thunderbolt 4. Now this one, this is the UH61 model. It goes for $129.99. So it's a little bit more expensive, understandable because you get more ports here, specifically the SD card and TF card readers 4.0, so you get faster speeds there. So yeah, like I said, this is for the content creator, people who are working with SD cards, creating content. You want to have that port, so that's not another thing you have to plug in to your computer, an SD card reader. You get the Thunderbolt 4. It's definitely bulkier, yes, and honestly, I don't really like the way it looks sitting on the desk, especially with the ports all coming out the sides. Like, I'm not a big fan of when you can see the ports coming out. I like when things can just kind of flow in the back easier, like how it sits on here. But it is a really nice option for people who really want that. I do like that it has that secure lock-in feature, so you don't have to really worry about it tipping over if you accidentally bump into it. If I'm being honest, yes, I do think both of these are really good options, but I really wish we could get all of these features that are in this type of body, because it's just clear, you know, you just put it right there. I like this. I like the way this looks. You just put the SD card reader there. You still get the headphone jack. You know, if you want to add another USB-C port, we're running out of space. I'm not a designer, so clearly it's not as easy as just put the thing there. I'm sure things would have to be a little bit bulkier, which is fine. If it wants to come out this way a little bit, make it a little bit taller, I'm cool with that. I just like the simplicity and the way this looks versus having my Mac Mini on the side here, you know, and when you plug it in, it's got everything kind of sticking out on the back. Like, you can face it forward, but then you kind of have to reach to the side to get to the SD card reader if you want to use that. So yeah, those are my 2 cents. I do think both of these are really great options, but it's going to come down to your use case. If you don't care about all the extra ports, you know, the UH60 model might be the way to go. It's a little bit cheaper too. So, but if you do want the extra ports, you don't mind how much bulkier it is, the UH61 model, it works too. I think it's still good for what you want, especially if you don't have your Mac Mini on display and it's right there. Like, I like looking at my Mac for whatever reason. I'm weird. I don't know. But if it's hidden behind something, you're not even seeing it, then my gripes with this doesn't even matter. So yeah, definitely take a look at the two. I'm going to have links in the description for both of them below. Figure out what's best for your use cases. Oh yeah, and for those SSDs, they both can support up to 8 terabytes. And also, as I pointed out in the speed test, these two have actually gotten a little bit faster speed results than some other hubs and even just SSDs that I have tested. Not by a lot, but an extra 200 to 300 megabytes, I feel like, which is pretty cool. And one more thing, both of these enclosures did not interfere with the Wi-Fi signal strength or speeds. As far as I can tell, nothing was noticeable, so that should be fine. I really feel like a lot of these hubs, they've kind of figured out that issue by now, so I don't think that's a big deal for any of these newer models for the Mac Mini M4. But that's it for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If so, please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Let me know what you guys think of these hubs and if there's anything else you guys want me to review in the future. And until next time, I'll catch y'all later.